Welcome to another video by Toolbox Tipz. Today I'm going to be doing an unboxing and review of a SDS Plus core bit set. So for a project I'm working on, I need to core out a 4-inch vent for a bathroom fan, and I normally would either rent a SDS Max plus the core bit from Home Depot, or I would use my SDS Plus with a smaller SDS bit, and I would do a chalk circle and drill out a bunch of tiny circles and punch the brick out. But the brick that I'm working on has quite a large grout line, so I'm a little concerned about drilling out these small circles and causing any compromisation to the bricks above. So I was looking online for a cheap core bit option to get me up to the 4-inch, so I don't have to try to just drill a ton of small holes, because I really don't want to have to repoint any of the mortar on the bricks that are there. So because I wasn't looking to spend a ton of money and I just wanted to get something that I can use once in a while whenever I'm doing the bath vent and it needs to go through brick instead of siding, I found on Amazon this cheap 10-piece set by DAYDOOR. It has 5 different sized core bits inside, plus 3 center drill bits, as well as an adapter for the SDS Plus, or you can use it with the SDS Max. So I'm going to show you what's inside, and then tomorrow when I actually use this to drill out that vent, I'm going to test it and I'll let you know how I think this did, and if I think it's going to hold up, and if I think it's worth the money. So inside the kit here, in the top of the box, you've got the 3 center drill bits, which will screw into the center here for the SDS Plus or the SDS Max bit here. So you can see we have 2 different arbor sizes for the Max as well as the Plus here. And we have 5 different bits here. So we've got 2 smaller ones, 2 medium sizes, and then the 4-inch one here. So the different sizes we have here, they read them out in millimeters, but it also does give you the fraction version. So it's got a 1 and 3/16, a 2 and 9/16, a 3 and 15/16, which I'm going to use for the 4-inch hole, a 1 and 9/16, and a 3 and an 1/8. So it gives you quite a few options here, but mainly I'm going to be using the one for the 4-inch, as well as sometimes, depending what we're doing, if we're drilling out sump pumps or something along those lines, I may end up using the 2.5. So the set was $65 on sale, where when I was looking at just getting a 4-inch bit with the arbor for the SDS Plus, there's a couple different options between Bosch and Milwaukee, and all of those for just that one core bit are generally around $250 to $400. So I figured for 65 bucks, I'll give this a shot. Because I'm not doing it daily, if it does work, this is something that may last me quite a while. So for this, I'm going to be using my Makita SDS Plus. It's a 36 volt. I'm going to run it on 2 3-amp hour batteries, and we're going to see how it does. So let's jump into it, and I'll show you how it does on the brick, and then I'll give you some final thoughts after. And this is the finished hole here on the brick exterior that I was drilling out on. So let's jump back inside and I'll tell you what I think about this core bit. So what are my thoughts? Overall, I definitely think this did good for the price it's at. So you can see in the video that it did cut the 4-inch hole perfect. There was no blowout. I had no issues with the mortar joints or any other brick around the hole I cut. I will say it did take a bit longer than the SDS Max with a core bit does. I think that is actually for one of two reasons. First, I was only running two small 3 amp hour batteries. And second, this SDS is actually only rated for about 2-inch holes, where it will cut a 4-inch hole using a core bit, but it's definitely working on the harder side. I think what I'll do next time is try 5 amp hour batteries and see how it does. I did find the brick I was cutting through was a little bit thicker than some of the other brick I've cut through previously. So what I found is I got about 3/4 of the way through the brick and I started to bottom out on the inside of the core bit here. So what I ended up doing was removing the core bit and I chipped out the first 3/4 that was cut of the brick so I could get the core bit back in place and get through the back quarter without it bottoming out here. One of the other things I did notice too is I don't carry a lot of sockets with me. So to lock in the centering bit here, I just tightened it down and used the set of adjustable pliers to get it tight. And I definitely didn't have it tight enough with just those pliers. What ended up happening was the centering bit came out. So when I stopped to check the hole to see how it was doing, I noticed the centering bit stayed inside. So I pulled it out of the way so I didn't break it. But that's definitely something you're going to want to be aware of, is you'll need to keep some sockets with you so you can get that centering bit down tight so it doesn't come out and you don't end up snapping it in the hole. Overall, with the price of this being almost the exact same price as renting the SDS Max and the core bit for one day, I think this is definitely worth the buy because I can get a handful of cuts done with this compared to needing to rent that SDS Max and bit every time I need to cut out a vent for a bathroom fan. I'm actually thinking about picking up a 6-inch core bit from DAYDOOR to see the next time I drill out a range hood if it does well, because again, it's the same price more than likely to buy that 6-inch core bit or rent the SDS Max and Plus. And this having the option to use it on a Max or a Plus is great. So if any of the guys I work with end up getting an SDS Max, we can use this with the arbor extension to go to the Max and not need to rent those items. So overall, I definitely would say this is worth the money. If you have any questions about this, leave me a comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.